We'll go through these one by one. It's just an overview of what we're learning today. So don't worry about copying all these down, but we're gonna go through each of these muscles and what they do. So you have muscles that you don't have to, no. So there are some muscles that are for facial expression. One muscle, some of these are pretty obvious what they do, like the frontalis right here. What do you think that would do as far as facial expression? So like raising your eyebrows, good. Like making your forehead wrinkled. So those would be some things that it would do. Occipitalis back here, how would that work for your face? Do what? So how do you think this would affect your face? The occipitalis muscle. Smiling?
But do you see where the occipitalis is and then where you're smiling?
Yeah, the smile.
No.
So what part of the face do you think it would change? The eyes and the forehead, right? It lifts up. So yeah, if you want to lift up or wrinkle your forehead. So the frontalis and occipitalis work together lots of times. So they kind of work together. When you raise your eyebrows, you have a lot of muscles working together. And that would include the occipitalis back here if it's really far raised or really furrowed. So yeah, if you furrow your brow or if you raise your eyebrows, this will also be working along with the frontalis to do that. The other ones we've already talked about before, orbicularis oculi, closes your eyes, orbicularis oris around your lips. So we'll go through these in more detail, but just overview that some muscles on your face are for facial expressions. Some are for eating. So mastication means to eat. And there are a few muscles that help eating. The macedo right here, strongest muscle in your body by its weight. And it's along your molars. And temporalis right here. And so this is why sometimes you might notice if you've been talking a lot or if you've been chewing gum, that this part gets sore. And that's why, because you use temporalis muscle when you do those things. Some neck muscles that we'll go through. Now again, there's a lot more muscles than just these ones. Muscles are in several layers, but we're dealing with just a few muscles that are, the major ones, but you have a lot of minor ones that we're not going to be going through that are also in the neck and in the face. Platysma, you don't need to for right now. We'll go through in more detail in a sec. I'll tell you what to write down. This is showing you your sternocleidomastoid, which goes along from back here, the mastoid process down to the clavicle. And that is allowing you to flex your neck laterally to the side. So now this is the part that you want to write down. You don't need to write down the origin and the insertion. We're not going to worry about that. What you should write down though would be the name right here and then what it does. So just write down for right now frontalis and that it raises the eyebrows. That's what you need to know. Origin and insertion, we'll just skip that part. So the frontalis, it's your forehead. It allows you to wrinkle your brow like that. It's along your eyebrow. And so when you raise your eyebrows, the frontalis is also helping to do that. So whether you are wrinkling your brow or whether you are straightening it, and frontalis is the muscle that is doing that. Again, along with the occipitalis, it's pulling all of this to aid in that. So a lot of muscles work together. You don't just usually have one muscle doing something. You usually have several working together to do something. You probably have heard, they've said before that to smile, it takes to smile is like 40 muscles and to frown, 72 muscles. So even like a small movement like that requires a lot of muscles. We just don't talk about all the minor muscles that require a movement. We usually just deal with a couple of the major ones. Orbicularis oculi. And so you can see right here, this helps you see the muscle that's around the eye that causes it to wink or to close. And over here, you can see the frontalis muscle really well. And then the next one, orbicularis oris, around the lips. And so It makes the lips close and pucker and protrude. Bring back an old meme. You never seen that meme? Wow.
Wait, which one? Like 20.
The one right here.
You've never seen that either?
Oh, no.
Wow. I am really shocked.
Mr. T.
What?
Mr. T, bro.
This is a really popular meme.
Y'all have never seen that meme?
Wow.
Wait, so
You guys need to get on the internet sometime. I thought I was being hip and cool, like showing this meme. Apparently, apparently I'm out of touch.
Wait, closes and what's lips?
Protrudes, like what this guy's doing right here, protruding the lips like this. And then temporalis along here. And so its job is to open and close the jaw. So right here, it's being tensed, and when it closes, it pulls the jaw closed. I don't think she's eating something. I think it's a plastic that keep her mouth open, either for a muscle or an exam or an x-ray.
Oh, those things are the worst.
Oh, like a dentist's office when you have to put those in, I know. Yeah.
hate those. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, they are. So a lot of times we have a headache in that area, like along your temple region. It's usually due to muscle, either muscles along here, or along here that are strained, that are spasming. So lots of times it's a tension headache, which means, it could be due to, what the name implies, tension, or you're stressed, or it could be due to sleeping wrong, or having this kind of muscle injury, or overstraining a muscle. So a lot of times that's the reason for the headache in that area of the body. Different headaches have different meanings and reasons why, but that's usually why you have a headache in that area. The zygomaticus bone or muscle, you can see it in purple along here. So it's attached to the edges of your lips, and so it's for smiling. In this picture, right, you can see it's in green. And so there are other muscles too that are showed on here that work with that muscle to cause us to make a smile. But the zygomaticus is one of the muscles that helps pull the corners of your lips upward to smile. The macedo, that's along your molars right here. You can see it really well right here. So that helps with chewing. It keeps the food by your teeth. So there might be a homework question about this. You might want to make a note that this is a muscle of mastication, which means that it's used for chewing. The ones we've already gone through are the ones that are for facial expressions. So you might want to just make a note that the ones we've already looked at are for facial expressions, but this one right here, macedo, is for chewing or mastication.
And rest are for that too?
No, I'll tell you as we go through. There's a few there for different things, but for right now, the first ones we did were all for facial expression, except for this one.
And then the next ones are also for facial?
Well,
Or are we done?
there's going to be kind of a mix of things. I mean, macedo could also, as you can see in this picture, it does aid in facial expression somewhat. I mean, it does cause, this right here to protrude out, but its main job is for chewing. The buccanator, so even though it looks like it should be pronounced buccanator, it's pronounced buccanator. The buccanator, you can see along here, it's by the lips. And so it's used to compress, like when you play a wind instrument, when you blow air, you use the buccanator to do that, to pucker your cheeks in and your lips. It also, just like the macedo, is used for chewing and for keeping food by the teeth. And so this picture, you can see a lot of the muscles, and this is detail. You can see around here, orbicularis, oris around the mouth. You can see the buccanator along here. You can even see up here the frontalis muscle. The neck muscles down here, I haven't really talked about these yet, but this is the tendon that connects to the platysma, which is the neck muscle along here. And so if you see this area right here, those are tendons that connect to your platysma muscle along your neck. So the buccanator 2 is for mastication, just like the macedo is. So these two are for chewing. Sternocleidomastoid in green along here. So it goes behind your ear, and then it goes down to your clavicle. And like I mentioned before, that's for flexing your neck, turning your head to a side. And you can see in this picture that it's well-defined muscle right here, behind the ear, down to the clavicle. So it flexes the neck, it laterally rotates the head. So when you turn your head to a side or tilt your head, you're using the sternocleidomastoid to do that. This one right here is a neck muscle. And so we talked about muscles of facial expression. Then we talked about muscles of mastication. This one is a neck muscle. So you might want to make a note for that.
Can you repeat that?
So just write down that this is a muscle of the neck. And it's, there's three main categories as I went through earlier. You have muscles of facial expression, which you've gone through. Maybe this is in order, actually. I didn't think it was, but I think it is. And you have muscles of mastication, which is macedo and buccanator. And then you have neck muscles, sternocleidomastoid, and then platysma are two neck muscles. And so this is used to tense your neck. So when you tilt your head upward like this, and you feel like if you shave your chin, you're going to have this motion right here. It makes this part tense. That's the platysma. You can see all these wrinkles along here are part of the platysma. And you can see it just wraps around from your chin down over your collarbone. So it's a very superficial muscle. We have muscles below the platysma that help with neck movement, but this is the outermost muscle, and this is the part this is the muscle that you see when you tense up your neck. Okay, so that's all we're gonna do today as far as notes. And then I'm gonna have you do 2 worksheets. So that packet I gave you yesterday, it's the first 2 worksheets at the top of the packet that I want you to work on for today. I'll take up your notebooks too, and grade them while you're doing the worksheet.